Good evening. Welcome to episode 222 of the Brewgooders Beer Comics and Assorted Geekery podcast. And Jeff, on my right is Andrew, below me is Stu, and on the bottom far right, but not as far as we're aware, a member of the bottom far right is Mr. John Bruce. So
I love the idea that there's a bottom far right, like a far right dedicated to just bottoms.
Yeah.
That's where I would be.
I don't know. Yeah. You should maybe remove the far right joke going forward. It's quite an awkward.
Me and John are the power bottoms of the show.
You do look like you've got that kind of, not like hillbilly look to you. You look like you're the far right. The type of people that want to kill Kyle Glass. This week, the tenacious guy.
We just have dueling banjos. That's all.
Yeah. So this week we'll do our beer, comics, and a sort of geekery chat. But also we wanted to plug our new show that we've will be released weekly or as much as we can do them, I suppose, on Netflix. We've got a show called Top 5 Go that it's just a new format we thought we'd try, and we have recorded a couple episodes and it's gone quite well. We'd invite everybody. They'll go. The first one will come up. We'll go out sort of early next week, and then you'll get the next couple episodes in the subsequent weeks. But if you want to check them out now, you can go onto our Patreon, and they're available there, and you can be one of the two people that follow us on Patreon and cover a pint at Thought Bubble. But yeah, nice to see everyone there. We thought we would do to get us kind of like let other people understand how the format worked and stuff and why we enjoy it so much. We thought we would do like a quick example just now. John, you told me how long you were staying for, and I listened and didn't take in any of the information you conveyed. Are you staying for Top 5 Go?
Oh yes, I'm here for Top 5. Yes, Top 5 Go. Yes,
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so. The way Top 5 Go works is we have decided that we're going to rank random things in the beer, comics, and a sort of geekery sphere. And because Twisters comes out this week, at time of recording, the movie Twisters comes out, we've decided that we would rate disaster movies. And I think we've been calling it the algorithm, but it's just me writing notes and taking points based on a system where we all vote our 5 favorite movies or whatever the category is from 5 to 1. All our number 5 picks get a point, and then all our number 4 picks get 2 points, and so on until the number 1 picks from each of us gets a solid 5 points. I add up all the points at the end, and then we have the definitive, unarguable answer to that question for everybody to be like, no. Actually, you'll find that the answer to that question of what the best thing is this, because the Brewgooders did a system that was scientifically uncontestable. So we're doing disaster movies. Not gonna lie, this was Stu's idea, and I really struggled with this as a genre.
Really?
Oh no! Can I just that Twister? I thought it was a TV show. Is it a movie? A movie.
Yeah, it came out.
A movie years ago.
No,
it's now got an S in the title, like Alien.
Is it really? Is it the same people, or is it a reboot?
No, different people. Different people.
It has to be different people because, like, a large proportion of the main cast are unfortunately no longer with us. If memory serves.
Yes.
Right?
Of Twisters.
Yeah.
I suppose Bill Paxman.
Bill Paxman's gone.
We talk about a lot. It seems like.
Yeah, certainly this new show we talk about Bill Paxman quite a lot. He seems to be a recurring theme in most of our favorite movies.
This week, I made sure I'm Paxmanless.
You do that. Just make sure Bill Paxman's on your top 5. I'll just double check. Oh, he's in mine, and I didn't even do that on purpose. Yeah, he's only in mine once, but he is there. Okay. Cool. So we'll start with number 1 and we'll go from there. So everyone's number 5 points. 3, 2, 1.
5. Yeah. Oh.
The day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow.
Oh wow.
3.
Yeah, but if we get something in there, Should we Should we like fist pump or something? If we get like
We should
really good, does I get any extra points for just us all having it as the same one?
It's just absolutely bizarre. I didn't expect to see even once more, but yeah, there you go.
There you go. Day after tomorrow, and yours was The Wandering Earth.
Yes,
that's a really. Do you want to start with that one? Because is that the really bleak one?
Chinese.
It's like Armageddon times 10. Yeah,
okay.
Where it's like a 2019 mainland China movie, and where more or less there's like I've not watched it since in 2019, but there's like a meteor coming to Earth, and it's well into the future, and Earth have now, as a way to avoid being struck by this giant planet that's coming to destroy them, there's more or less they've built jets on one side of the Earth to move it out of the course of the other planet coming to hit it. And
it's like a Doctor Who episode.
Do you know? I'll say this, by the way. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he sometimes does YouTube videos where he dissects the science in movies. Mm-hmm. I can honestly hear his head exploding from here.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it still is on Netflix, and it has an English dub on it, which is how I watched it. And I think it done, like, if you look at the worldwide box office, I think it was definitely like top 10 most successful films for that year. So much that they made a sequel, Wandering Earth 2. So I assume they're moving the Earth back to where it went to in the first place.
Okay.
It blows my mind because it's based on simply the way you've explained the plot there, right? It's suggesting that the Earth is stationary. Mm-hmm. So the idea that you're moving it because it's already wandering uncontrollably through space.
The idea that you would use the technology to move something the size of the Earth, which surely must be more complicated than moving something the size of even a fairly large comet, is a bit bizarre. So, but
they should have watched Armageddon.
Yeah. They should have watched. Or the other one that was better than Armageddon from a scientific viewpoint.
Deep Impact.
I didn't want to say the names because in case they come up later.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I will certainly watch The Wandering Earth. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. Is it got its tongue in its cheek, or is it like hard science?
I think
I think that from what I can remember, I feel like it is hard science, but it's just enjoyable. It is just sort of like a mindless, like blockbuster. Like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But no, I had to pick 5 films, and I knew 4 off the top of my head, and I really had to search for that 5th one.
Fair enough. The Day After Tomorrow, I think, made it into my top 5 simply because of that scene that they do in South Park now, where it's like when they ask the Republican vice president guy, who is like an antagonistic politician, is like, how do we save all these people? And then he just draws a line on the map, and he's like, move everybody south of this line. it's like that's the only reason I made it to my top 5.
I think I was massively excited for this movie when it came out. I think it had some of the best posters and roadside sort of things that I've ever seen, with the whole the Statue of Liberty underwater and snow-capped areas and things like this. The movie itself was all right, pretty good, but the look of it and things like that was just astounding. I really liked it. Obviously, it made it in the top 5. So
I enjoy it. It's a good film. I went to a special preview of it down in London, and the director was there, Roland Emmerich, and I was going with a friend who worked for 20th Century Fox, and it was a Q&A, and if no one had any questions to ask, the guys that worked for Fox had stock questions to ask, so nobody was asking questions, so he put his hand up but improvised on the question, which was along the lines of, Roland Emmerich, how do you pull together your great casts? Because obviously Godzilla, you got Matthew Broderick, etc., Independence Day, Will Smith, and what. what have you. So then this one he asked, so Dennis Quaid, why him? I haven't seen him in anything for ages. And it was a packed cinema full of film executives, and everyone just went, oh no. And Roland Emmerich's answer was, he was cheap. And that made it into Empire magazine, and I was like, oh no, that's quite bad. But other than that wonderful anecdote, it was a solid film. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was stupid fun.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid's been in every movie that they couldn't afford Val Kilmer or Kevin Costner.
Oh, I like a bit of Quaid. I like Quaid. Yeah, he's good.
So do I. But yeah, he's
in my favourite. When we get to the list, he'll be in. He's in one of my favourite. Shrinking yourself and going into a human body. Top 5 movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, nice. But he's only my second favourite person to have played Doc Holliday in a recent movie about, the events in Tombstone.
Fair enough. He's not even my favourite Quaid.
Randy Quaid's your favourite, isn't he? Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid related, isn't he? Is Randy Quaid related? I don't know. Jack Quaid's his son. Is he? Honestly,
Randy Quaid's his brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even my favourite Quaid that shows up in Roland Emmerich movies. That's so good. Awesome. Right. Day After Tomorrow's really good. I thought you were going to say when you said you were going to see when you saw it at the cinema, John. I remember going to see it in Dunfermline Zodiac, and it being sunny when I went in and rainy when I came out, and it totally being like there just been a total vibe.
It's big gun.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. 3, 2, 1.
Daylight. Oh, Stu.
We're getting better at this, man.
Look at that.
Jeff, they're going to start talking about us, Jeff. That's like 2 from 2.
Yeah. We're on different cycles.
That's it.
Daylight's great, but I didn't put it in my top 5. It was very close to being my top 5, but I just like Day After Tomorrow more. But Daylight's a good film.
Just a stupid premise, a tunnel collapsed, and the only person that can go in and save it is somebody who was, disreputed and is now a taxi driver. And like, who can we get? Let's call the taxi driver. And up goes Stallone. It's like, yes, yeah. It was like that '90s trope of disgraced person, like Steven Seagal on Under Siege. He was like
the chef.
That in there.
Yeah, top Navy SEAL or whatever. Then he was serving his time as a chef on the ship, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's the chef." So yeah, nice '90s trope of unassuming hero.
Mm-hmm.
Who just happens to be Sylvester Stallone and fucking massive.
Who just happens to be Stallone? Yeah, he's like, yes. And I think maybe it's the first thing I saw Viggo Mortensen in as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Sort of like, it's funny that you say that's like the 90s trope of like disgraced person coming back or being the one that gets pulled out. So I feel like that sort of happened to Stallone in the 90s. Like in the 80s, he ended the Cold War by killing beating up Dolph Lundgren and stuff like that. And then he I want in my head like he had like all these like Stop on a Mumble shoots and Judge Dredd movies that were just total horrible. And then sort of mid 80s, he did Copland and Daylight and Cliffhanger and started to like.
Yeah, 90s was like kind of the resurgence of Stallone again. Yeah, I think Daylight was one of the last ones that kind of tailed off. But before then, yeah, it was Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, all that good stuff. Yeah,
I think Copland was sort of his attempt to become like a sort of proper actor.
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like late to mid 90s. Yeah,
mm-hmm. I liked it by comparison with some of his movies, So
yeah, no, good. That's a good film. Daylight, great movie. Titanic. I wasn't sure if. I'm glad that someone else picked it because I wasn't sure if Titanic counted as a disaster movie. But then my argument was going to be it's like one of the greatest. It's based on one of the biggest maritime disasters of all time.
During a disaster, I think it couldn't be any more. I mean, there's a couple of disaster movies that I think are more disastery, but not many. Still enclosed disaster movies. And yeah, it was a great movie. I mean, it justifiably won all those Oscars. It looked great. The acting was great. And the action sequences, they could have trimmed a wee bit of before they hit the iceberg. stuff. You know, I think it was slightly drawn out, but once it started going down, yeah, it went down, son.
My understanding as well, like even like obviously James Cameron being just awesome, but his attention to detail, like he obviously, yeah, I've read a lot about how like when he was making The Abyss, one of the major reasons for making The Abyss was that he could get tax cuts and tax breaks, and he could claim expenses on like doing deep water exploration, and then like sort of justify it as like, well, I need to take loads of submarines under the water so I can get the filming techniques needed in The Abyss properly. Ultimately, it was just him like wanting to get down to the Titanic wreck, and then obviously he then used what he learned down there as part of the structure of the movie. So like the way that the boat collapses and stuff.
It was almost prepping for the Abyss. I mean, Cameron's known for making sure he can get things right. It took him several years to make Terminator 2. And then the time it took to make Avatar, he was basically creating the effect as he went along. So people kept him going, when's this movie going to come out? It's going to take ages. And he was going to like, it'll take as long as it takes. And he's been proved right so many times. I mean,
yeah, totally. No, that's good. Love Titanic. Number 3.
Oh.
Was it? 3, 2, 1. Oh, I got the wrong one.
Oh, Volcano. Armageddon.
Deepwater Horizon.
What did you put, Andrew?
Towering Inferno.
Oh, okay. Good, that's a good one.
Again, I know you a couple of years are pretty young and might not remember.
I've saw the Korean remake.
Okay, fair enough. It's not as good.
Called The Tower.
Towering Inferno had two of the coolest men ever to make movies, in Steve McQueen and oh man, Paul Newman. They made 3 movies together, and every single one of them, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, obviously, not Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, it wasn't Steve McQueen. It was I beg your pardon. Ignore me. Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. Yeah, Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. A massive tower is on fire and people are trapped above it. I think it was the seminal, like, action. There was 2 action movies, two disaster movies when I was growing up, and one of them is going to come up for me later on.
Yeah.
That were the sort of the seminal. I think these were like almost the first disaster movies, and I think they both deserve to be in my top 5. And this one's at 3.
I've not seen Deepwater Horizon, unfortunately. I'm ashamed to say, but it's about the oil disaster, isn't it?
It's about the oil disaster on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig, yeah. Kurt Russell, Mark Wahlberg. It's a good film, yeah. Very well made. Just surprising, what can go wrong and the things that can go wrong. Obviously there's the bad guys from the company, who are pushing the limits on the rig. But yeah, it's quite harrowing to watch in places. But it's a very well made movie. Peter Berg, great director. Very well made, solid film.
And then we come to our 2 movies, which I believe came out about the same time, and I would argue aren't necessarily well made movies, but very enjoyable. Volcano has the most horrendous death scene in a PG movie I think I've ever seen.
Is that one with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan?
That's Joe versus the Volcano. you guys.
Guys. Again, I guess Volcano, a recent movie. Listen, this is again.
1997.
Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah,
another one I'm thinking of.
And a daughter that everyone hates, and yeah, there's just this slow impending volcano. It's just slowly catching up. It was just like one of those, again, in amongst the times of Armageddon's, Twisters, and Deep Impact. Like volcano, just watching it creep into houses, like the lava getting under the door, and the little Chihuahua dog barking at the lava to stop it from getting any closer. And just those moments like that, and it's just something that's made me fascinated with like volcanoes. And I even like requested a book specifically that I'm hoping will just be like Volcano. Michael Crichton, James Patterson book Eruption.
Yes, that's on my list to watch. The 3, sorry, yeah.
So I hope it's like even just like 10% like Volcano.
I enjoyed it. I watched it in geography because in like third year, because my geography teacher was trying to show us like how inaccurate representations of volcanoes are in the movie. Like it's just made a total thing. Like things like you mentioned the Chihuahua barking, and the guy like that has to that death scene where the guy like throws the body by jumping into the lava, and then he just sort of melts into the lava. But our geography teacher, his whole thing was like volcanoes are just bloody hot, and you just would not get that. You couldn't get that close to lava. Like a Chihuahua would, like, you know, that Chihuahua would have caught fire well before it started barking at the lava.
Yeah, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson as well. He does these things where he talks about the science of things. And he says that where he sort of melted into the lava. He says it wouldn't happen. Lava, once it's at that slow moving sort of stage, it's almost solid. So you would just end up like lying on it and slowly cooking. If you could get close enough to it, it wouldn't melt you from
lying there in agony, screaming.
Yeah,
it's so brutal. But you don't actually see anything. Like you don't see it's like it's just it's a good. I enjoy it though. Like it's like you say, that sort of late '80s disaster movies.
Mm-hmm.
Armageddon, I love it. Armageddon was Michael Bay is like, you know, when Michael Bay had that amazing run of decent movies before he did Transformers or before he did Pearl Harbor, even where he just did like Bad Boys, The Rock, and then Armageddon, and they were all just quite decent. Do love Armageddon. I love the fact that Ben Affleck at once asked Michael Bay during filming, why would they do it this way? Why wouldn't they just train the astronauts to drill oil, and got told to shut the fuck up? Just a great movie, absurd premise, some of the most amazing, like, just Michael Bayisms, explosions and gruff men being like, yeah, Steve Buscemi, yeah,
Steve Buscemi was always good. Steve Buscemi on a nuclear weapon being told to step away from the nuclear device.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Owen Wilson.
It's just a well-casted movie.
Owen Wilson, yeah. Owen Wilson's great.
Owen Wilson, yeah. One of the first things I saw him in, yeah. Cool.
Even the big fat guy talking about his favourite food being haggis.
Yeah. That big guy that was in most films at the time. Michael Clark Duncan is Bear.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's in there as Bear, aye. Who's the guy as well? The guy, the guy that's also in like Punisher and The Postman. It plays the one with his son.
Oh yeah. Jesus, Will Patton.
Will Patton.
Yeah.
He's a Bill Paxman-esque.
Well, they've also got they've got the foreign Bill Paxton as well, Peter Stormare, who plays the Russian cosmonaut. Who, if you want a bonkers foreigner in a movie, that's the guy you get. You know, he was the Lucifer in Constantine, the movie.
Detailed, don't worry.
Anytime you want a bonkers bad Russian bad guy or a crazy, get that guy. He's
John Wick 2. He's in John Wick 2 as well, isn't he?
Yes. Peter Stormare, yeah. The Last Stand with Schwarzenegger, yeah.
Talking about Bill Paxman, I feel shit that we didn't mention
Paxton.
Bill Paxton is in Titanic. We didn't mention that when we talked about Titanic.
Bill Paxton, yes, Titanic.
Bill Paxton's not in Titanic, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Bill Paxton, yeah.
He's the guy that they're telling the whole story to. He's the one that's running the.
Okay, yeah. I had forgotten that.
He's there. I think I have to mention it because it's a really Paxton appearance, I think, in this list, unless somebody's got an obscure disaster movie that I haven't thought of.
I hope Paul Pullman never sees these things because he just doesn't ever come up. I mean, he's just like, he must think, what have I got to do?
Yeah.
Nope. I've got a list of top 5 Bill Pullman films, don't you worry. So
we'll keep that one in the back pocket, John.
Okay. Number 2, yeah?
Number 2?
3, 2, 1. Oh, there we go. Okay. Right.
I can see what's going to win here already because it's
I forgot about Hard Rain. I totally forgot about
Hard Rain.
Starring Randy Quaid.
Right, so he is. I forgot he was in that.
He's the sheriff, yeah. And Minnie Driver back when she was starring in every film released.
And quite right.
Quite right. Yeah, she had a run of films. I think after Google Hunting, it was this and Grosse Point Blank as well. So yeah, she was
one of my all-time favorite movies. Is Grosse Point Blank. Yep. It's an absolute classic.
All the quality films, yeah.
So Hard Rain's great. I forget Hard Rain even exists as a film, but I love everything about it. It's one of those movies that just flies under the radar in everybody's talks and discussions. But when you're like, oh, it's got Morgan Freeman and Randy Quaid, then
Christian Slater on his resurgence. Yeah, I think that came out after Broken Arrow. Yeah. So this was his sort of mid-90s resurgence. Yeah.
Good movie. Another absurd like plot, but like just good fun.
Yeah, heist movie during a flood. Fantastic.
Yeah. There's, I remember this correctly. There's not one character who like has like he quotes things from the Bible constantly, and then he runs out of Bible quotes, so he starts quoting Bruce Springsteen. Is it Bruce Springsteen he starts quoting? Yeah, that's good.
I remember right. Yeah.
Just a great movie. Anything else you want to say? You two wanted to add about Armageddon? Now that you've put it in.
We've spoke about how good it is and all like that. This is a problem when it comes up multiple times. So we're going to do the chat. Yeah.
I love just like that opening 10-15 minutes where like the asteroids are hitting the Earth and it's like New York City and they're just looking into the sky and you just see it cutting through buildings. There's like a guy on a bike with his dog. There's just everything blown up in front of them and you're just like, oh no, this like who's going to sort this? And then of course, then you get your mixed match group getting them all together.
It's amazing. I love the naivety of Bruce Willis in thinking that he's going to be able to take someone who looks like Liv Tyler and put her in amongst this group of guys and things like this. And nobody's going to make her on it. Never going to happen.
And then just kind of like that. It's not really a twist, but it's like we need to blow the bomb up manually. Someone's got to stay behind. Who's going to do it? And there's like the twist. And they're on each side of the glass. Like, don't you do it, Jack? In the glass.
But again, that's one of those things that any half decent engineer would be like, oh no, I'll truly like something. Don't worry about it. Just buy them all.
Exactly.
We'll chuck a rock as we're leaving to hit the switch.
We've got like robot arms everywhere.
I watched that when I watched Armageddon for the first time. I always remember watching it with my parents, and like when the bit where the crew of the downed shuttle like get inside the armadillo, and then they fired the nail gun to like blow a hole in the door so they can get out. I remember I remember asking my dad, why is there a gun? Not realizing it was a nail gun. Saying like, why is there a gun on that thing? And Mom, I think, trying to be cool, she's like, well, you never know what they would have found up there. And then my dad, not even looking away from the screen, is like, you'll probably find, Jeff, that it's a nail gun. it's like my mom trying to be cool, and my dad just be like,
like, what did your mum think they were going to find up there? Alex,
yeah, I don't know. I actually prefer Deep Impact of the two 1998 asteroids hitting Earth things. I just think it's a cooler story.
More scientifically accurate. So
nicer cast, just more emotional. I know like Armageddon's got the hands on the television monitors, and that really awesome score.
And our dad sort of embraced the wall of water flies towards them, isn't it? So.
They just had like Robert Duvall and the old like the famous astronaut that they signed up to bring up to like a fairly what was supposed to be a fairly fundamental chilled out mission that was basically so like they bring him on as like a publicity stunt and then he ends up having to be the one that like he becomes the heart of the mission. It's just a great movie. So many emotional beats. Elijah Wood, a pre Frodo Elijah Wood.
Actually, he discovered it, wasn't it? He was one of the kids that found it.
Yeah, just a nice movie. Morgan Freeman showing up in the top 5 again.
After Hard Brain, yeah.
Awesome.
Number ones come up because there's a couple of movies that I'm quite surprised haven't had that. We'll have to do an honourable mention to do our ones because there's one or two that I'm very surprised haven't made an appearance yet that almost made it.
We'll look at our number ones and then see what the honourable mentions are. I don't think my number one will feature on anyone else's, to be honest. But
no, mine neither.
3, 2, 1. Oh wow! Twister.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow! Okay. So, Decided Adventure. I was expecting to see that before now from someone else.
Yeah.
But,
It's we talked a bit earlier on about the Towering Inferno. I think those two are sort of granddaddies of that sort of genre. And this was just a movie with Gene Hackman back in the day that just, it was phenomenal. It was on every Christmas. It was, you always had to sit and watch it. It was 2 hours of joy. No joy because a lot of people
it's a famous movie if memory serves.
Even Gene Hackman doesn't make it in the end. He does the sacrifice, but at least his sacrifice is realistic. Like he has to jump a distance to turn a wheel, and then there's no way. Like he's not a parkour guy. There's no way he was getting back from that, but he saved everyone. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Not one that I've returned to after. I've maybe watched it once and then watched the remake.
Yeah, I've only seen it.
Alec Baldwin or something like that back in the sort of 90s.
Was it not Randy Quaid?
Kurt Russell.
I only remember Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's maybe been done more than once.
Kurt Russell, Josh Lucas, Matt Dillon, no, Kevin Dillon, sorry. Richard Dreyfuss. Entourage.
From Entourage,
yeah.
Poseidon Adventure is a great. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the most mislabeled titled movies because you think you're, like you say, you think you're up for a rollicking, like the Poseidon Adventure. This is going to be a frolic, an exciting like adventure tale, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
the whole way through. I'm going to come to Twister last because for obvious reasons, but I saw Finest Hours about 3 or 4 years ago during COVID, and I fell in love with the movie. So anyone that's not seen it, it's Chris Pine, Casey Affleck, and a bunch of other guys that you've seen in lots of other stuff. Eric Bana's in it as well, actually. But it's just about the an oil tanker that's trapped during a storm off the coast, and a group of what are they called? Coast Guard, a Coast Guard boat that's trying to get out to rescue them. And then there's the whole thing about like the Coast Guard boats. Only the boat that they go out in is only designed to carry 10 folk, and there's 20 odd folk on board. And it's just a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Emotional beats as well, and that it's just a good film. If anyone's not seen Finest Hours, you should go and check it out because it's a good couple hours.
You know, I remember having seen that, but see when you put it up on the piece of paper there, my genuine first thought was, is that another Winston Churchill movie?
That was Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hours, was it? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there in the top 5 Gary Oldman movies.
Yeah. Oh man, can you do top 5 Gary Oldman movies? There's just too many.
All right. Top 5 Churchill movies.
Top 5 Churchill movies.
Churchill movies.
Just based on the way the algorithm works, Twister, not only is you two have picked that as your favorite disaster movie, but it's also the top disaster movie by science of all time. So,
quite
right. An honourable mention. One I expected to see is The Perfect Storm, which was this close to making it onto my list.
It was circling my list along with Poseidon Adventure, the remake, which I enjoyed. Armageddon was circling the list as well. There's a few that was kind of circling, but Twister.
Yeah.
is my number one. I genuinely love the film. I saw it 3 times at the cinema because I worked there and I got it for free. But I genuinely love the film, and I've seen it multiple times since then. I'm really, really excited to go and watch the new one, which I might go and watch in IMAX rather than 4DX because the seats might break my back. Can you imagine the 4DX? Strap on to the cyclone, Forget
I said Sonny
it.
that I'd take them to. I mean, Sonny are going to watch Twister tomorrow, I think, and then go and see Twisters on 4DX.
Which IMAX? Is IMAX at Fountain Bridge, or is there one in Brighton now?
The Odeon has an IMAX.
Odeon's got IMAX now, yeah. They've had it for a year now.
In the country, though, so
it is.
Yeah.
But it costs me this, so it's fine.
So help me through Twister things. I've not seen it. I maybe haven't seen it since round about the time it came out. And what I can remember, I maybe missed the plot when I was younger, and I haven't revisited it. But my understanding is and one of the reasons I didn't like it was because the protagonists put themselves in dangerous situations for no discernible reason quite a lot.
No, there were storm hunters. Basically, the film starts off with Helen Hunt's character as a young child who witnesses her father being killed by a Force 5 tornado, the strongest tornado ever. So she now wants to becomes a tornado scientist in order to
vengeance.
In order to kill the Twisters. No, they're trying to come up with a predictive warning system, which would give people warning, as opposed to the Twister just happening. So basically, they're trying to get in the way of the tornadoes to release little gadgets that will pick up the tornado tracking and give them an idea how the tornado works. So it's it's a decent scientific idea, but just built around this amazing action movie, starring, of course, Bill Paxton. Oh yes, and it's the first film. It's the first one I saw Philip Seymour Hoffman in as well. And I was like, who is this? Who is this guy? This guy's a legend.
Well, I see for the new one, because obviously Bill Paxton unfortunately no longer with us.
Yes,
we're always going to need actors that nobody knows their name, that are always in secondary positions, that occasionally get to be the main man. And this year, I think Glenn Powell is that guy this year. He's had a couple of movies that, had this one where he was pretending to be a hitman recently, and he was kind of one of the supporting cast in Top Gun, and he has
a lovey-dovey film with Sydney Sweeney as well.
Yeah,
he's like the new flavour of the year.
I'm going to say it now. I'm going to put my hand in my sleeve there. Glenn Powell's the new Paxton.
Oh.
That's fair praise.
That's high praise.
We
did a top 5 Bill Paxman equivalent. Paxton. Yeah, what I just said, get his name wrong. Sorry.
I'm going to jump to that screen, Jeff, ring style, and I'm going to get you.
I'm going to go back. I think Jeremy Paxton. Jeremy. That's where I'm getting confused.
Jeremy Paxton.
There you go.
Jeremy Paxman was brilliant in Twister, and then he went on to be in the news and everything like that. Was it? It was great.
Yeah.
When he was reading those questions to those university students, and then he just gets picked up by a Gulf War air
best part of the film. Yeah. Wrong.
No, I think he is he's like our MVP of our movie lists so far. I can't think of
he's my MVP in general, to be honest.
Yeah.
Love him, love the guy.
Yeah. Awesome, cool. So thank you everyone. So you have it. If you didn't hear it before, Twister is the greatest disaster movie of all time. You can it's it. No contest. And if you disagree, get in the comments and stuff like that. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan said hey. We have other 3 episodes like this. You can get early access to them on Patreon. They will be up on YouTube in the coming weeks. We've got our favourite X-Men characters as a celebration of the fact that we've got Deadpool and Wolverine next week. Then we've got our favourite 80s action movies and our favourite 90s action movies coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. So check them out.
If you've got any suggestions for what we could do a top 5 of, like and subscribe. pop them in the comments somewhere here, and we'll pick them up.
Yeah.
Because people have run out of ideas, but already people are talking about top 5 Gary Sinise movies or Gary Oldman movies. We're going to run out of really good ideas really, really quickly. So yeah, the more
top 5 coloured marker pens. I like this pink one. It's good. Yeah.
I think Gary Sinise is underrated. Gary Sinise is criminally underrepresented in the show so far, but I think he definitely, I think as we continue on our odyssey.
Do you know what Gary Sinise was in? It was sort of a disaster movie, and again,
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13 would have been a movie, an absolutely great movie. And Gary Sinise.
Oh, I'm gutted. Apollo 13. And Bill Paxton's in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is.
The guy's everywhere. MVP, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And the greatest hero of the galaxy, Kevin Bacon's in it, isn't it? Perfect movie.
It's a great film.
Movie.
Ed Harris. Yeah, it's a great film, yeah.
Ed Harris. Awesome. Right, so yeah, thank you for joining us. We're just going to continue on with our normal podcast now. John, are you staying with us?
I'm going to jump out, guys, so I will see you anon. Take care.
What beers are you guys drinking just now?
I'm very much a supermarket beer tonight.
It's a good one, though.
It's a good one. Yeah, I fancied it. I knew I had one can of this left from last week's session IPA, and I fancied a wee IPA. I do fancy an IPA. I've gone off bland flavour beers. So yeah, wee Joker. Nice.
Good. I'm struggling with beers just now. I've just been really ill.
IPA, yeah. IPA, man. It's just.
Yeah.
I believe I spent so much of my life not drinking IPA. Looking at it as kind of, I think many years ago, I was in a working man's pub or a golf club or something like that, and they had this stuff called pale behind the bar. Aye, and it just wasn't very good. And I thought that's what Indian Pale Ale is, so I'm never drinking it again. And then I think at a barbecue or something like that, I was introduced to an IPA, and it changed my life.
What it probably actually was actually just dregs from a pail they had behind the bar.
Probably, yeah. It was a miners' club in the 1990s.
It was all the overspill.
Over glass for the pail. Scoop. There you go.
Half the price of the normal beers.
I've been struggling with beer the last couple of weeks. Just been ill and not getting the flavours. And then I was in the Old Inn. I went up to town to watch the football on Sunday. Seven Kings was too busy, so we ended up in the Old Inn. Great pub to watch the football in is the Old Inn when they're not setting up a birthday party around you. But an amazing pub, and they had the Innocent Gun Mango IPA.
Oh yeah,
they have that on tap, and it's just really nice. They also have just the Innocent Gun IPA, Andrew. No, it's good. It was a nice beer. I'm drinking Notting Hellas.
Oh, okay.
It was just from Portobello Brewery. It was part of that London transport themed box that Beer 52 did a couple of months ago. It's just really nice. Awesome. Do you guys what have you guys been reading this week? I'm gonna just nip off for a second.
Sure. I picked up a book this week that I hadn't. I picked it out of a box of stuff that I've got remaining from the shop. And it's a comic called Rising Stars, Born in Fire.
All right.
And it sort of grabbed my attention because it's the creator is J. Michaels Jasinski.
Okay.
Probably slightly better known in the comic community for a very, very long run on Spider-Man, which was absolutely brilliant. And most well known outside the comic community, but within the geek community, as being the creator behind Babylon 5.
All right.
He wrote every episode, basically his idea did everything and stuff like this. And this was one of his first forays into comics when he first started saying he was going to be interested in this sort of thing. The foreword and recommendations by Neil Gaiman, and I thought, well, if Neil Gaiman thinks it's okay, I'm going to give it a go. And I'm about a quarter of the way through it. But it's a kind of unique take on sort of superheroics, how people get their powers and what they do with them. But yeah, the artwork is striking. It's quite. It's very much that style from the sort of early 2000s with very thin, very wide guys and very thin girls and stuff like that. You know, you would always be a J.M. DeMatteis or something like that, or a J. Scott Campbell. So J. Scott Campbell is who it most reminds me of. I don't know if you've ever seen J. Scott Campbell. His female characters all have exactly the same body shape. These are ridiculously wasted girls with, you know, the sort of hourglass sort of style. But the artwork's very, the artwork's good. The sort of thing. Ridiculously exaggerated figures and muscles, and you know, nobody has an 8-pack. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, Rising Stars, Born on Fire. Quarter of the way through it, really enjoyed it.
Cool. Did it span many volumes?
I don't know. This was an 8-issue series, and it's end of Act 1 at the end of it. So I'm going to assume, given how successful
a couple more,
that there are more out there. Which I'll probably go for and try and look for.
I started doing a little reading on holiday, and it was I've not got it at hand here, but I was at Irvin Welsh and The Long Knives. So I'm a very slow reader, so I think I'm just on like the 6th chapter of it, but I've been traveling a little bit this week, so it's just
enjoyed it.
When I'm stuck on a train for an hour, perfect to kind of sit in and read.
I like Irvin Welsh. I've read a lot of You Marabou Stock Nightmares and obviously Trainspotting.
It's part of like the Ray Lennox books, which I think was what the crime TV series with Dougray Scott. I think he's playing Ray Lennox. So it's interesting so far. Like it's the usual where one chapter's with Ray Lennox and the other chapters with like these, they're not serial killers, they're just castrating people, but it's like from the protagonist's point of view, well, or the antagonist, but it seems so interesting so far. It's kind of kept my attention, so yeah, I'm trying to hurry up and get through that so I could read that Michael Crichton book.
I mean, I've never heard of these. Ray Lennox.
Yeah.
I know I had he wrote this book once called Filth, which was about a policeman.
Yes. I think Ray Lennox was maybe a minor character in that because he speaks of
the main character.
Yes, being his gaffer.
Aye. Because it was kind of bizarre. It told the story from the point of view of the policeman. Sort of alter ego that he didn't know about, who was doing horrible things. But also there was a third narrator who was, and this has never been done, and it was a stomach worm, you know, like a tapeworm.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was just like the most bizarre thing, you know. So
and it was those chapters were really warped as well, like the way it was typed out. And I remember that. I think it was like 10 years ago I read that. I remember doing like the late night feeds with my first son and like with the book in the other hand. Going, like, this is just getting bleaker as we go.
Yeah, very good.
I hope that was a happy ending
with James McAvoy, but I think they ditched the tapeworm storyline completely from it. But
film's also chaotic as well. I just remember him just
I've not seen it. I don't think
kids.
Yeah. Good play.
Muted Jeff.
Sorry, I was just saying that it was the film, the movie's kind of quite, like the editing's quite jarring, isn't it? I think deliberately to kind of like play on the. Awesome.
Yeah. So you must do our books or something like that. I also wanted to show a book that I bought this week. Called Anime Architecture.
It's like a coffee table book.
If you like coffee table art books, it starts with the sort of sketches and takes them through sort of finished pieces. But what they do is they make it. It's really set everything. Some of them are so beautiful. But the only criteria to get into the book is that everything had to be hand drawn and hand painted. Nothing in it at all has been done using tablets or computer coloring or anything like that. It's all traditional manga anime sort of style. Back in the day when the coloring would have been done on pieces of plastic and stuff like this for anime movies. But, it's marvelous. I love art books like that I've got. Just something you can sit and just look at and be in awe of the talent that's out there. So that's my 2 books this week.
Jeff, I read a comic yesterday. Last week. Sorry. Let's see if I can get it up. I read it on my phone. Haven't read. It was like a free. I was on the train going to Edinburgh last week, and I was like, I just googled and see if I could access any sort of free comic book day one shots or anything like that. And see what came up, and I found the first issue of this book called The Bountiful Garden. And it was really good. So I ended up it's just a really interesting story, a really interesting premise about a group of children, effectively. So it was by Ivy Noel Weir, written by Ivy Noel Weir, artist Kelly Williams, colorist Giorgio Spalletti, and Justin Birch lettering. Where am I? I'll get rid of that now. It was just cool. Just a cool story about a group of children who were sort of raised and trained to help terraform a new planet that they were put into stasis to arrive at and set up. So Earth's dying and they're trying to start a new world, but they wake up early and they're trying to work out why. And that their giant spaceship with all these embryos and different things ready to start this new world. The spaceship basically breaks down above a planet that's uncharted, and they don't know why they're there or how they got there. And this group of, they are teenage protagonists trying to work out what to do and develop a contingency plan, and elements of Alien, elements of Silent Running, even. Reminded me a wee bit of Lost in Space, just kind of loads of different kind of elements, and I just really enjoyed it. Maybe the first 2 couple issues were excellent. I think as a great mystery starts to unravel, I think it maybe lost a little bit of ground, but we found that quite a lot. We've talked about that on the show before when you when you have programs like Lost or the X-Files or movies even like the Alien franchise, where the intrigue is in the mystery, and then when the mystery is kind of presented to you, you're like, oh, I could have done without that actually. But no, it was good. A really good story. I quite like the idea that the teenagers don't really know each other very well, but they're all there for a role. So for a wee while, they're calling each other botanist and architect, and because that's their designation on the mission. But then obviously they become more human as things around them become more alien. It could be a book.
There was a TV show on that sort of premise, wasn't there? A group of kids that were sort of sent back down to, there'd been a disaster on Earth, and everybody was living in space, and they were sent down to sort Earth out again.
The 100 or something.
That's the very chap, the 100. It turned out everybody had certain skills or something like that.
Yeah. It definitely had elements of that. I didn't see the 100, to be honest. I sort of was aware it was on.
That's a CW type thing. It was like one of those things you would watch half a dozen episodes and know it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Why these guys will have their shirts off and they're in perfect shape.
Yeah. Why is everyone so beautiful? So I kind of watch Love Island. I want Love Island to be, expat people from Newcastle and things like that.
Everyone needs to have a skill to get on the island.
Yeah, that's it.
That's you need to build the resort.
You need to build it. If you build it,
I like that show. I like that show that Bear Grylls used to do, and he just dumped them on an island, and they had to kind of work it out. But it was always, it became very. I always quite enjoyed how it kind of became Lord of the Fliesy quite quickly, and that they
by the end of the first episode.
Yeah, they formed cliques and they turned on each other and things like that. Yeah, it was
just like it was always like, there was always one guy who was really good fishing, and he ultimately, despite not being completely dislikable, was like the most valuable member on the island because he was the only source of food. It's like,
I know there was this American one that they had people, but they didn't put them together. They would just drop like 7 people on an island, 20 miles apart, and it was the last person to stay on the island would kind of win £1 million or something like that. And you had people who were like, yeah, I was a Navy SEAL, I'm going to last, I'm got 100 days is what I'm looking for. And these are the guys that are like 17 hours in, they've set off their flare to come and get rescued or something like that.
This is shit. This is.
I always remember there was like one guy, and he was phenomenal. He was like the most, rugged, competent guy I'd ever seen. Like he'd landed, he'd built himself an A-frame sort of thing and stuff like this. He'd set out snares, he had fish hanging and drying and stuff like this. Well, other ones were huddled under a tarp. And it was about 3 weeks in or something like that. And you thought, this guy could probably restart civilization. He was so good. And then he just turned around one day and he was like, oh, yeah, I really miss Brenda. It's £4 million and stuff like this. And he missed his girlfriend and he just like let off his flare and got out.
Emotionally weak.
Some guy who was far more likely to die on the island than win ended up taking home £1 million and being called the Survivor. Or I can't remember what the show was called. But
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this comic. It played around with like social. One of the guys was like a lot of the characters were like picked because they were like just total like A class at like like child prodigies and stuff. And then like one of the main guys was like he was from like a diversity program and stuff, and it was cool. Just good feedback. It's always nice. It's from, was it Mad Cow Press, I think. But when you find like a small, we've talked about this quite a lot on the show as well. When you have these smaller publishers who are more
Top Cow maybe.
Yeah, let me find out what they're called.
I've never heard of Mad Cow. Where's the Top Cow?
Canadian. Let me double check again. Sorry, I shut the page down. But yeah, Bountiful Garden. You should everyone like if you're looking for something totally. Mad Cave Studios, based out of Mad Cave Studios, based out of Canada. So, yeah, not a company that I'm familiar with. But yeah, if you're looking for something a bit different, what have you guys been doing TV wise this week, and movie wise, and all that jazz?
I finally finished Sandman. Which was great. Watched the end of season 1 and the sort of special with the Dream of 1,000 Cats.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
The cat story is one of his better known single issues that he did with Sandman. It's really, really well done. Some great voices in it as well. But then they also adapted Calliope, which I think was a 2-part, and that was really, really good as well. So. Yeah, I know season 2 is coming soon, and I'm getting a little bit excited for it. It was season 1 was great, and I watched season 3 of Superman and Lois, which unfortunately was cancelled after season 4. I think it's really, really good. 3 seasons in, I think it's my favourite Superman TV show ever made. Tyler Hoechlin's very, very good as Superman and Clark Kent, very believable. But yeah, cancelled it for reasons that escape me. But I know what they are, but I didn't agree with them. So.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a shame. I always liked him when he showed up, and I've maybe watched the first couple of episodes. I liked him and wasn't totally enamored, but I always liked him in like Supergirl and stuff like that. They did the crossover where they discovered, we talk about hating the multiverse and stuff, but they did a multiverse. They did a multiverse crossover where they were able to, because they had Brandon Routh on on the books for Legends of Tomorrow. They were able to put him back in the Superman costume and stuff. That was
I remember that one. They had Tom Welling in it as well as his sort of variation of Superman as well.
Yeah, good. It was good, but he certainly was he's a good interpretation of Superman. And like you say, very believable. So yeah, it's a shame that that's been shut down.
Yeah. I think they want people just to like they just want James Gunn's Superman to be the only Superman going forward now. So.
I had my friend Craig over last night. When we were sitting chatting about the James Gunn DC universe, and it's actually quite an exciting little. The way he seems to be structuring it is quite exciting. I mean, starting off with kind of animated series, but then keeping them within the same universe and building it up and stuff. And good. The new Superman stills look quite promising as well. So
I think so. I think it needs somebody to have like an overriding vision. That's when comics work better, when there's one guy who's got the overriding vision. You know, you're Jeff Johns or something like that. You know, an executive or a Michael Bendis, Brian Michael Bendis. That's what you need. But Jim Shooter, even back in the day. The DC movie universe has needed that because they've all been very bitty. I know they all take place in the same universe, supposedly, but they've all been very bitty. But the James Gunn stuff, Suicide Squad and Peacemaker have been great. I hope Peacemaker's still part of the universe.
My understanding is he's getting a second season, so
I think that's filming at the moment. So
yeah, Peacemaker was one of my favourite shows.
Very
good. I finished season 4 of The Boys today. The episode for that dropped today, and I was actually quite surprised based on what's obviously without going into too much. It's been quite a heated time in American politics this week. And I was surprised based on what the plot to season 4 of The Boys has been up to this point. I was surprised, but that they put the episode out, because it's all been about sort of like coups and overturning the established political system and stuff. So, but really good. I really liked season 4. I know most people are saying it's fallen into that conversation about whether like TV shows are losing their way in later seasons, but I've thought The Boys season 4 has been quite consistent and good fun.
I've been waiting for the full season to be out. I must admit, I'd quite like to wait until the full season's out and then blitz it in 2 days. So,
really good. Great conversations, great discourses. I've just really enjoyed it. Like guys like the Deep and that, like continuing to be repulsive and hilarious at the same time, and it's just a good show.
I saw an advert on, I think if it was Facebook or Amazon, but it was for Audible. But there was an Audible book for the Deep's character called Deeper and Deeper.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Like, we're doing this? Like,
one of their current jokes in the series is that he's a best-selling author. And he's got multiple books, but they're not written by him. So like he's got his wee octopus that's like one of his life. He's trying to marry. Like they've talked about how he married into like a cult in season 3 and stuff like that. But season 4, one of his ongoing lovers is an octopus, and she loves when the Deep reads to her from his autobiographies. But they're all like the joke is that they're all ghostwritten by Shia LaBeouf's ghostwriter. He's like. My books are amazing. They've got the same ghostwriter as Shia LaBeouf. And then, but yeah, it's a good show. It's very funny. Sometimes I've noticed season 4 has been very on the nose with its sort of flag waving and its politics, whereas before it's been a wee bit more subtle. But no, great show. Season 5 will be the last one.
It's an election year, so they have to be thinking about it, and it's it's been turned on its ear quite literally this year.
What happened to, how did Preacher finish? Did that end up getting cancelled, or did they finish it up?
3 seasons, I think it was cancelled. I'm not sure if they ever thingied the story, but everything was wrong about Preacher right from the start. Like the whole first season of Preacher it's 12 episodes that ends in the scene in the diner where the first issue of Preacher starts. Like that whole first season could have been taking place, you know, in the comics. It was dealt with in, you know, talking about things and things like this. It was unnecessary. They could have been straight into the action earlier. So yeah, Preacher was really flawed for a Garth Ennis thing.
It's a good cast Preacher had. I remember like on the build up thinking the cast was excellent, and then I turned off after half an episode and was like, "Oh, this isn't what I wanted it to be."
It's not great. They did pretty poor things to Arseface, and you know, Joe Gilgan was probably the best bit yet. He's consistently good in everything I've ever seen him do. Yeah, the guy deserves to be a superstar. But
I think it's coming.
Do you think so?
I think he obviously he is a bit of a superstar. I think obviously
he's got face tats now and things like that. He's not, and he can't be interviewed. That's the thing, because you never know what he's going to say. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's fundamentally not allowed on live TV.
It's a shame because he's probably one of the most likable people.
Yeah.
Like, there's just I remember from the very first, like the first thing I saw him, probably like most people, was when he was in the first time I watched This Is England. It was like, oh, there's something just really amazing about this guy. And
he was so likable in that. He was in Misfits.
I think that was my introduction to him.
The best thing in Preacher, and obviously we're big fans of Brassic.
Yeah. So I love Brassic. We must be due a new season of that. It's filmed quite quickly, Brassic, I think, because of it's quite a tight show, so they can knock out episodes, they can knock out seasons quite quickly. So I'm hoping that's coming back in quite soon. Yeah, that was The Boys. I watched that this week. I watched Rogue One with Sonny yesterday morning. That's a great. I forget how good Rogue One is, and it's quite bleak, but it's like I know we'll probably do a Star Wars episode of Top 5 Go, and I would be surprised if that doesn't win just through the algorithm alone.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can do Top 5 Go Star Wars movies with kids, because if you mentioned like the Phantom Menace, I'm going to be reaching through the screen to strangle you, sort of thing.
I don't think,
you know. And if Empire Strikes Back doesn't win, there'll be a fight. There'll be a riot.
Yeah.
This is why these are done remotely, Andrew.
Yeah. Exactly. We can't be in the rooms together.
Yeah. So by the time we've gotten the bus over Jeff's house, you'll calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
You just see me leaving halfway through the show. Right, here we go.
I'm back in a second, guys. There's somebody at my door, and then I come back with a bloody nose.
Andrew's just in the punch
I'm very excited. I'm going to hopefully try and catch a couple of movies next week. Roy wants to see Twisters, and obviously Wolverine comes out, and Sonny wants to go see Despicable Me 5. So
yeah, Wolverine's like next week or something, is it? 12?
Yeah, it's like next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So that's out. Cobra Kai's out. Well, a few episodes are out anyway.
Is it really?
It's five episodes.
Yeah. It's the fact that the season's been...
Netflix have moved it up, though, haven't they? They've moved the second lot of episodes up.
To when?
I don't know when, but I think they realised that folk were going to get really upset that they had to wait too long. So
it's the fact that they've been such bastards to make it a 3-part series. Like, okay, we've gotten used to them splitting into 2, but now we're splitting it into 3. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're taking it too far by dragging it out, because I think it goes into next year now. Like, it's no longer a season at this point. You're breaking it up too much.
They're not doing something similar with Stranger Things as well. Like Stranger Things next year's going to come out in sections, and
that'll be at least
like
2 parts. But
yeah,
if this is a new trend, it probably will be in fucking 4 installments.
I'm just looking at it. It's July now. 5 episodes. Another 5 episodes in November,
Yep.
And then the final 5 episodes to be advised 2025. So, you know, at least, like, to be fair, if they just did like 3 6-episode seasons, I would have been all right with it. But you know it's going to end in a cliffhanger season. You know, these 5 episodes. So.
Well, it's like Stu says, that seems to be the trend now, isn't it? Like they did it with the Bear, where one of my criticisms of season 3 of the Bear was very much that they maybe dragged it out a week. They dragged the main issues out.
Mm-hmm.
In order to make it a 2-part, like in order to give it a to be continued, rather than like whereas before I think they would have covered more plot. I felt like they were dragging issues out specifically to give it an extra season. But yeah.
So seasons always, like, TV used to have to sort everything in one season. What, you know, because you didn't want to be, you could be one and done. Every TV show ever made could be one and done, and so you didn't get the cliffhangers. Then for a while it was like, well, we'll put it on cliffhangers and dare, you know, the networks to cancel us because people will riot. Netflix do not give a shit. That's why I didn't like watching. I'll barely watch a Netflix season 1 until I know it's been done. You know, until there's at least 3 seasons and they can, because I've been burned too many times with good shows cancelled.
Yeah.
So
that's a fair point, man. Yeah,
1883 last year was phenomenal, and it's never coming back. And you know,
too many shows. And the one that gets me now, like Preacher's an example, 10 Traveller's Wife's another example for me personally.
10 Traveller's Wife, yeah.
Where you know that there's so much story to pull on, and that you know where it could go, and that they've cut it well before its time.
The 10 Traveller's Wife was so frustrating because, you know, it's a book. The whole book's there. They did half the story. It would only have taken one more season to resolve that. And then they could have done more stories afterwards or something like that. But one more season would have given us the full story almost. But I don't, you know, it's just like they look at that algorithm and go, no.
I did read Audrey Neffenegger, the author. She's sitting on the second book. It's there, ready, and it was due. I had a wee look. I can't remember how I was just reading about the Time Traveler's Wife again because I really enjoyed the book. And then I'm being like, oh, she's written the sequel, but like, I think for whatever reason, its release date keeps getting moved back. But it's all about it's Alba, the girl. It's a wee about her as a young woman, which would be quite good. I think it was like very similar to the Ten Traveller's Wife, but about Henry and Claire's children, which would be I think would be a good follow-up. But yeah, for some reason she's sitting on it and it's due out, but they can't give a date. So yeah. Is there anything else? I noticed that our we've despite having done an entire top 5 go, we're underneath our standard time. Does anyone else have anything that they read, watched, wanted to moan about?
I've done plenty of beer things in the last month that I've not managed to get the chance to talk about. Which partly my own fault, but I brewed a beer.
That's amazing. It's good fun, eh?
It is. It was the guys at Stuart Brewing were perfect for us, and spent like 2-3 hours just doing everything there in their beer kitchen, and at the end of the day we ended up brewing 2 styles of beer. So I'm bottling in the end of August, so hopefully like come September on the Brewgooders we'll be all drinking the same beer.
Try a beer.
Yeah, it's a Pilsner and an ESB. So some nice traditional styles. I've just gotten the email from them telling me to start designing my bottle labels. So this will be interesting. But yeah, very exciting. I think it's maybe about 140 bottles, like 500 ml bottles I'm going to end up with. So you
have to drink them quick as well, mate.
I've got a lot of people. Like a lot of people have been messaging and asking me, like, "Do you have beer left?" Like, it's not even in a bottle yet, and there's people just saying, "Could I get a couple?"
That's good. That's a good problem to have. We all, when we did our brew a couple of years ago, we all threw in quite a lot of money, and actually, like, we just kept like acquiring cans because like we all got. I think the way we did it was the four of us, me, Colin, Andrew, and David, all put a bit of money in, and so did a pub. The old owners of the haberdashery, and we all put the money in, and then we all, like, as well as the haberdashery selling it, as being like we all got our money's worth back in cans. And then for a wee while there, it was like I kept showing up because I would go to the haberdashery and he would be like, the guys there would just be like, yeah, we're not going to sell these, Jeff, and it's too good a beer to go to waste. So like we shown up at Acme with like another 6 cans for everybody, and it was like we just kept there was just loads of it everywhere. So hopefully you guys don't have that problem, because there's nothing worse than having beer there that's you can't drink it fast enough. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this office will probably just be like boxes piled up in the back of me, full of bottles. But no, it was such a great day, and like they were so nice with us, recording stuff, like showing up with GoPros, and like, yeah, cool, you're on social media, go for it. It's like their only thing told us is just remember to tag us when you post it. I'm like, okay, I thought you were going to like shut us down for just being dickheads with cameras. But no. So yeah, like putting videos out. It was a stag do that we were there, so I was brewing through the day, then going out on the town at night, and I'm doing the stag do video just now, and we only really go to 3 pubs. Like you could clearly tell we're all in our mid-30s, like drinking all afternoon, then going to a pub. Nah, just one. Then we get to like Innocent Gun, and like I'm done. I'm ready to go lie down. So other than that, I spent Tuesday afternoon at the Wasted Degrees brewery in Blair Athol. They won the Courier's Brewery of the Year award, and after an episode of the Brewgooders, I drunkenly text them, congratulating them and inviting myself along to their brewery, and they were like, definitely come along. And I thought, cool, user in Perth, and then I look at user in Blair Athol, which is like 40 minutes outside of Perth. So I went from one train to 2 trains. But yeah, I took a day off work. A 2-hour train journey later, I was walking. Like you get off at Blair Athol, and there's like a Belhaven bar, like the Athol Arms, and other than that, it's just roads. I had to walk along the side of the road for like 10 minutes until I got to like the industrial estate where their brewery was on. And
you're lucky. You're lucky you got around there at the moment. I used to be a scout leader, and they do every year or every second year at Blair Athol, they do this massive jamboree.
You're not wrong, because all of them showed up at the brewery.
Yes, it's this week. It's just started, and people come from all over the world. Thousands of scouts from all over the world.
20 of them showed up at once, and there's an international patrol beer that they have. So they come there, they buy that, and then they get a badge, a Wasted Degrees badge to sew onto, I guess, their jumper or
that's welcome.
Whatever they have.
So they didn't sew that onto the jumper. Unfortunately, it's not beer drinking. It's not an official scout thing. They wear blankets when they're around the campfire, and the idea is that it's like a poncho type thing, and then they try and get thingies from all over the world for that. So that's probably it's going to end up on many ponchos. So many fun time at Scout camps and stuff. I loved it.
I've only ever been to Blair Athol once, and it was I went to the Athol Arms. It's funny you mentioned there. I went up to the Athol Arms. I'd booked a hotel, and then went up to Blair Athol and found out that there's 2 Athol Arms in Perthshire. So when I got there, the receptionist was really annoyed that yet another person had got the wrong Athol Arms. But
did you have a room for you though?
No. Well, we'd already paid for the other Athol Arms hotel in advance, which is down in Dunkeld. But then
Okay.
anyone knows that, like you say, if you know that area, you have to, to get there from Dunfermline, you would drive past Dunkeld and then carry on for another 40 minutes to get to Blairathol, maybe. So then it's then like shit. It's like another 40 minutes. It's another 40 minutes past Pitlochry back down the road.
Not good. So which is they would just change their name. So
yeah, well, exactly. Mac, I'm really excited to try your beer, Stu. I really how were Wasted? What was Wasted Degrees like? Nice place.
Yeah, it was really good. Although they've announced that they are going to, they've got land, and I think starting in November they're going to build their own purpose-built brewery in Pitlochry. They've got like a space, because right now it's just like an old sawmill industrial estate that they rent a unit on, and they've got like 6 like big tanks, like the DPVs brewing beer, and yeah, they're just that chuffed to kind of someone come along and it's like, right, try this beer. And the 2 guys, like they're brothers, just talked my ears off. Like I was there from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and then they drove me back into town. But the whole time they were just telling me everything about their brewery and all the changes they've made. Everything's like recycled materials, things like that. It's really cool, and they've invited me back. They want me to come and spend the day and like help them brew a beer. Like something they pitched it as be the brewer for a day. Just like wear a camera and then just put in a shift.
Yeah, this is good, man.
Yeah, why not?
Exciting, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good fun to brew. Me and Andrew got to do a bit of brewing at Beath, and it was good fun. Just like a bit, yeah. Right, I know Andrew needs to go, but we call it there. That's
sure.
That's good. Yeah, it's good. Thank you so much for joining me again, guys. It's good fun. Love my Thursday nights. Yeah, and catch us next week. Hopefully, have a guest. Cheers, dudes.
I do that.
I do.
Oh, sorry, I do that. Normally, I also click the